Mike and Dustin with you again. We want to talk today about lead generation for B2B outside of LinkedIn. A lot of people are doing LinkedIn or only doing LinkedIn when they're doing B2B lead generation. And we're here to tell you there's a whole lot more. And there's a couple of major buckets that we want to talk about and point out. So one is audience and the other is omnichannel. So when we say audience and we're talking about generating leads outside of LinkedIn, Dustin, I know your thoughts go to some tools to do that. So talk a little bit about those tools for finding audience outside of what LinkedIn offers from an audience targeting perspective.
So everyone loves LinkedIn ads because you can target by job title, company. So what Primer does is allow you to do that. And if you're in the B2B, you're probably familiar with tools like Seamless.ai, ZoomInfo, Sales Intel, stuff like that. So think of that interface where you can select job titles, headcount, technology tools that companies use. You can set up your ICP and hit go. And then the tool will go find those people. You can see a little sample of them, what companies, what industries, all that fun stuff. And then it allows you to then export those audiences to the traditional direct-to-consumer channels like the Google Ads, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok now. And so it really unlocks that omni-channel like you've talked about and not having to rely on LinkedIn to go shake your hand.
So for you folks at home, we jumped a little bit ahead, but we use a third-party tool called Say Primer. Say Primer is an audience targeting tool that we use to find audience, and that's what Dustin was referring to, using that type of tool outside of the capabilities of LinkedIn to find audience. So Dustin, we get this question quite often. Where do platforms like Primer get their data so that people know that they're targeting the right people, the people they want to get in front of?
Yeah, there's a lot of data partnerships out there. There's a lot of public data that's out on the web. So a company like LiveRamp has somewhat had this ability for a while, but cost 10, 20 grand a month. They're high minimums. So, but essentially what they can do is when you put the parameters in, let's say an accounting firm, it'll go find those people. And traditionally it starts with LinkedIn and gets the people that work there. But then there's things like Clay is a good example of it. They have a lot of data providers, but once you find that person, it goes and connects to hundreds of different data sources to go try and find that person. And with very high confidence, it finds them. And the end result of what the tool does is get the personal phone number and email. And that is what's used to target on the traditional B2C platforms. And most people sign up with their personal Gmail or their personal phone number. And that mobile phone number is the crucial one. It's what two-factor authentication comes into. But it is a lot of data signals that come together that with confidence can identify that B2B target, get their personal contact information, and that's what's fed to the ad platforms to improve the match rate from 1% to 90%.
So a couple things to point out here is that the data on a platform like Primer is data that consumers have volunteered. It's not data that's gotten through any suspect fashions. This is open to the public data that they're using. So there's that. The other piece that Dustin pointed out, which is really important to point out and to specify, is that on LinkedIn, typically you're getting a business email and that person's identifying information is through that business email. These other platforms allow you to target those people outside of the business email. A lot of time business emails will have firewalls and they'll have blockers that won't allow you to get through to them. So because Primer gets data legally, number one, and has personal information, it now unlocks that person across multi-channels, omni-channels, so that you can find those people outside of LinkedIn. That's the second part of the conversation, Dustin. Now that we have the audience, we know the people that we want to target, and we know where they are and how to get in touch with them. It's like having a functional phone number and email. You need that to get in touch with people. Once we have that, now what do we do to get those 8 to 10 frequency impressions that we need in front of those people so that they respond to what we're doing.
Go back to the economics and why I get excited about it. Before marketing, I was in accounting. And so when you look at just the number or the cost to serve impressions, you're looking at LinkedIn of upwards of $250 to serve 1,000 impressions, where Meta is at $25, YouTube's at $10, TikTok's at $15. So you can serve 10 times the amount of impressions on Facebook with the same budget as you can on LinkedIn. So that allows you to get to that 6, 7, 8x frequency for people to remember you and actually make a decision. More so, there's just much more reach. There's a lot more people on Facebook and Instagram and Google and YouTube than there are on LinkedIn. There are a lot of CEOs, executives, and all of that. So they're there, but they're typically not the decision makers. So what we'll do is we'll go and shake the hands or use prospecting and introduce the brand on YouTube and Meta, where we can leverage their video ads and really serve videos we can get someone to watch a 30-second video for less than a penny. And so when you're reaching that head of accounting or that decision maker in your ICP and they've watched 30 seconds of a video and it only costs you a penny, you've now built an audience so much cheaper than what you could do on LinkedIn. And now you have the ability to retarget those video views to further the message that are more traffic driving, that then create that messaging through the user journey across the different channels.
So key components here, folks. A, obviously getting in front of the right people and getting that match rate. So you're at a 90% or so match rate. So you're pretty sure you're getting in front of the people you want to get in front of. Then you're trying to get in front of these people where they live, where they eat, where they sleep, outside of the LinkedIn atmosphere, so that obviously they have a better chance of seeing your message, responding to what you're doing. So what Dustin's saying is a couple things. One is that you need some kind of platform to be able to target your audience efficiently and effectively. Second, number two, you need to target these people outside of LinkedIn, omnichannel. So Meta, TikTok, Google, need to find those people outside of just the LinkedIn channels. And it's kind of like a domino effect of these tools. You get the tools that identify that person, you get to be able to target them on the platforms where they are and where they live, and then they're going to see your message and move from there. Also, Dustin's saying, cheaper to do so because you can now target these people on these platforms where CPMs are a lot cheaper. And Dustin, say that point again about the video piece and or building audience with video views on a YouTube or on a TikTok in a cheaper fashion.
So you hit the nail on the head. You're hitting the right person and you got to shake their hand. What we look for is how can we have the strongest handshake at the cheapest cost? And typically to get that is through video views. And the channels that help with that tremendously are YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. I really like YouTube because people are searching. They're not just doom scrolling and just only watching for a few seconds. They're actually absorbing. And you can get someone to watch for 30 seconds or more for less than a penny. So when we can go and get someone to actually not hit that skip button, watch our branded video, get to know who we are, what problem we solve, and the reason why, to me, spending a penny as opposed to 8 cents for a view on LinkedIn is just far more powerful, far more efficient, and a better way to go. And once they view it, you have the ability to then follow them around with other ad units and continue that story.
So we have another podcast on why it's effective and efficient to produce video for your ads. This is one of the exact reasons. You can reference that podcast as well. Video is not only a really good mechanism to get your message across, but it's also really good for building audience. So once you build an engaged audience who have watched your videos for 30 seconds, you can then retarget those people as an engaged audience across these platforms as well. What else, Dustin? We got audience, we got omni-channel, we got building audience on omni-channel via video. Anything else you want to point out here? Because really what we're trying to do with you here, folks, is open up the playbook. We're actually opening up our offensive playbook and showing you the plays that we run. Hey, there's a lot of possibility here outside of just selecting some audiences on LinkedIn and running ads. So Outside of those big buckets that we just covered, Dustin, what else? What else do we need to cover here?
I'd say the last piece to really echo what you said at the front end, which is that frequency piece. You need to have someone see you 7 to 10 times. This is why video is so crucial, and the ability to retarget. So if you go and introduce the brand, now they know who you are. Now you retarget and start showing testimonials, start showing proof, start showing people behind the scenes. And this is a unique way you can get that 7 to 10 impressions without saying 10 times, buy for me, buy for me. Basically doing the same thing and expecting a different result. Once you can retarget, then it's a matter of what are all the things that I need to say to build that trust and win. And that's what really empowers that omni-channel approach that guides the user through their journey.
Great points there. If you were going to do all of this on LinkedIn, essentially roll out a full funnel approach, having that whole conversation on LinkedIn itself, it's probably going to cost you 8 to 10x what it would if you're using an omni-channel effort. So in other words, let's say it costs you $250 to acquire a user through LinkedIn using all of these methodologies. It's probably $25 using the omni-channel methodology. But Dustin, any last words before we jump?
I love what you said about if you did this on LinkedIn alone, it'd probably be 8 to 10x more expensive. And I would agree with that. And so if you're only doing LinkedIn, chances are you could be doing 8 to 10x better with the same budget. And I'm sure that's what a lot of people are struggling with, of how can I do better with the same budget? So if you're only doing LinkedIn, love to dive in and show how you could do much better with your existing budget.
So if you do have that problem, and if this is a pain point and you're looking for lead generation outside of LinkedIn, click the book a discovery call. That will get Dustin and I on a meeting with you. We'd love to go through this with you and open up this playbook even further for you. What we do on those calls is we talk about what you're doing now. We lay forth a strategy for what you could be doing and spend against that strategy in a media plan that we put together. And then it's up to you if it makes sense and you want to work with us. So again, if this is interesting, if LinkedIn is a pain in your behind and that's all you're doing and you need more options, book a discovery call with us. We'd love to jump on. So until next time, thanks for listening, and we'll catch you on the Click and Mortar podcast in a bit.